What is up, everyone? As you can obviously tell from my gear and my hair, I am actually an hour away from getting myself all freshened up for training that I got in maybe an hour, if not less than an hour. So let's go ahead and cut this short. Let's keep this short and sweet, right? But y'all know me. I know I'm a bit of a windbag. But one thing I noticed that in a lot of my videos, I have a habit of, yikes. I guess I got some hang time going on over there. I always thought, I never really actually thought of myself as a fro wearer because every single time I try to grow my hair out this is the highest I think of my hair has ever been because I don't like getting haircuts. But I realize now that down the line I might have to, get haircuts a lot more because if I ever want to be on TV, I got to look good, and that means making some sacrifices, such as Samson and Delilah Ling my hair. Delilah Ing, whatever. I'm Southern, whatever. I try my best to think a little bit more positively, even though this past week has actually been a little bit stressful for me. So I'm going to try to lead off with the positives a little bit. Try to just shake it up and be a little bit more uplifting and positive and motivating towards myself because I've been negative lately, and it's a challenge to think positively when bad things happen. Like, I'm that kind of dude who I'm kind of have this all or nothing mindset. It's like either I have a good day all the way through, or the one bad thing is going to make the whole day bad. Like, you can give me $1,000,000, right? And then you can punch me in the nuts as hard as you can. And I won't even appreciate the $1,000,000. I'm just going to devote my whole day to being mad that I got punched in the nuts. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I'm all or nothing kind of person when it comes to that kind of thinking. Like, I don't like being mistreated. Like, you can give me something good and then give me something bad, and I'm only going to focus on the bad. And I'm trying my best to not do that. Because, like, the first part of conquering a problem is admitting that you have a problem. So now that I realize that I do tend to focus on the negative a lot more than I focus on the positive, I'm going to try to focus on the positive. Such as, I am going to training. I am going to wrestling training. Every day that I go to training is one day closer to becoming a professional wrestler. The goal that I've always wanted to achieve ever since I was a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to have been like at least a good 14, 16 years old when I said, this is something that I want to do because it's cool, it's fun. You know, the habit is expensive, but it's worth doing. Granted, I think one of the few things I think at one time I was discouraged about being a trainee at 33, because, I'm 33. Who's going to want that, right? But I think one of the few things that I kind of got going for me as far as, like, being this old and starting this late in the game for me, because, like, first off, I'm old enough to not get manipulated into doing things. I know how to say no. I don't have to worry about peer pressure. One of the big things that used to happen in those types of scenarios was that, like, you would get pressured into drinking or drugs or any sort of illicit acts. So, so it's like with me, I know, I can always say I'm an old man. I ain't got no time for that. You know what I'm saying? I could go on my own go on my own way, which is odd because once I start wrestling, I'll probably be in the same age group as the majority of the wrestlers there. Me, Ricochet, and Jonathan Gresham are kind of all in the same age group. Me, Ricochet, and Madcap Moss technically share a birthday. Technically share, like, a birth week. So it's like, like, I'm not that old, but I can always say I'm too old for that stuff, and I can just leave everything alone. I don't drink, I'm not illicit to peer pressure. So the whole thing is that, like, now that I'm going to training, I'm closer to becoming a wrestler. I probably, like, for me, it will probably easily be a shoot to the moon because I know I have an idea what I want. I could plan towards it. I could put focus into it and things like that. Plus, I know the importance of having a backup plan if I ever get injured while wrestling. Some of these kids, they don't. Most of them do, though. Like, they're smart enough to understand, hey, wrestling's dangerous. I get hurt. So they know. So, like, I got my head in the game a little bit there. Plus, I got a pretty okay credit score just in case things get a little too ridiculous. I can always be like, hey, I'm gonna need this. I'll pay you back whenever. Certainly. So there's that. Another thing too, yeah, the credit score. I have been pursuing bettering my credit because I do want to get a house one day, and I want to be able to get a house on my own. Because you know, growing up poor has made me like very much desire to have my own home, and having a good credit score is step one towards doing that. I want to be able to find a way to not just really get a home, but to get land one day. That's the goal. The goal is land. I want to be able to have my own land and be able to say, this is mine. Everything, all this is mine. So that's the other thing too. So I'm getting my credit up and you know, saving up money and getting myself like, financially prepared to do that. So that's something that's a positive, right? Um I've been doing a lot more reading. I have been reading. There's a thing called Unique Universe, Iana, Child of Wonders, and it's awesome. I've anybody who knows me personally knows I'm super obsessed with being black. So, like not just Black American, but like Black culture, African culture, things like that. So I've been really kind of digging into that lately, and that's like I've been doing a little bit of research into it. I like to think that every day I learn something new about being black, black culture, Africa, or anything like that. I like to think that every day I'm learning that. Every day I'm sort of bettering myself a little bit. So that's something that's something to be positive about. Speaking of reading, I've also been like reading. I've been rereading a lot of DC comics lately, and like right now I'm reading the current Green Lantern, and John Stewart laments about destroying Xanshi, right? And in my brain, I'm like, what is this Xanshi? What does they keep referring to? Because it's often that they reference that. Like that's a core point of his life that I just never knew about. Come to find out, I read Cosmic Odyssey. I read how Xanshi got destroyed, that damn anti-life equation. And the thing that really stressed me out about that was, if you read the comic, I wish there was a way I could show it. I wish there was a way I could edit and show the picture. But if you read the comic, he had nothing to do with it. The anti-life equation knew his weakness and painted the bomb yellow. So the bomb that he was actually supposed to be like trying to stop from blowing Xanshi up, he couldn't do anything to it. And it's like there was no way of anybody knowing this. However, his hubris of being able to believe that he could have solved the issue on his own. So he's like, hey, Martian Manhunter, you stay back and I'm going to handle this on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the bomb wasn't painted yellow at the time, this was in 1988 when, like weaknesses had a bigger thing back then, had a bigger, death grip on heroes and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, had the bomb had not been painted yellow, he probably would have been able to like handle the situation just that much better. And man, but it is good to see that he didn't, kill himself like he was planning to do later on in that comic series. So there's that. I'm glad to know that didn't happen, because Lord knows Green Lantern needs John Stewart. Probably not now, but oftentimes beforehand. So there's that. So, there's that. Politics, once again, I'm not going to talk about like Ukraine or anything like that. Although I will say this. I'm a little annoyed that like they just ultimately, like, the whole Matt Gaetz scandal is just sort of like brushed under the bus. But it is good to see that, people from January 6th are, getting their comeuppance. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, January 6th should be the reckoning for white supremacy. And the fact that it isn't is annoying to me. Like there should be like a whole like nationwide sweep of white supremacists, because it's not just January 6th, that you need to worry about. January 6th proves that like white supremacists are willing to band together to do things if pushed to do things. So you can only imagine what they would do if another charismatic leader tells them to do something equally as bad. Like, hey, we want you to go down to all the HBCUs and just show them what for, or some crap like that. Like you gotta crack down on these guys. So that's personal, political, fictional. I don't know where else to go with this. So and I do have to prepare for training in a few. So there's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this short. I'm glad that you guys have stuck around to listen. Love, peace, and safety to all of you. And I just, you know, and if I upset anybody, I apologize. Unless, of course, you're a white supremacist, then I don't care about your feelings at all.